Oh, there we go.
as we prepare to live stream. This is Karen with NewClevelandRadio.net, and it is the last Tuesday, I think, in May, which
Yes, it is.
means it's the last What in the World with Paul
With-
Seaburn for
Hey, hi,
May.
Karen. That we made it through the month. We made it through May, even though there's some kind of weird moon happening tonight or tomorrow.
Yeah.
Super killer pink, red, full ecliptical moon. Yeah, it's already affecting me. I can't even say moon. I'm saying mood instead of mood. It's got me in a killer mood.
I can imagine. And, and along with all that, we're getting all the cicadas.
Cicadas. Oh yeah.
Oh, what a time.
Well, I as a courtesy to you for those. But by the way, welcome to What in the World, everyone who's tuned in, whether you're on a podcast or on YouTube. Thank you for coming to see us on YouTube or on the podcast. We're at newclevelandradio.net, which is the home of all the great podcasts that you need to be listening to.
Absolutely.
First, that's right. First, What in the World with me, Paul Seaburn, my co-host and producer, Karen Hale. And over there on the screen as well is John DiNallo with What in the World of Sports, and also color commentary and whatever else he comes up with. So hi, John.
Hi, Paul. Hi, Karen.
Hi, John.
So Karen,
Yes.
as many of our regular listeners know, Karen has a hard time with insect stories. So I purposely avoided a cicada story this week. But since you brought it up,
Oh no.
let me see if I can remember it. It had to do with, let's see, it didn't have to do with eating. Oh, I know it. It didn't have to do with people eating them. It had to do with rats eating them. Guess what? Cicadas are the favorite food of rats. Apparently, they're sweet and crunchy. And so not only are they predicting the worst infestation of cicadas in 17 years, they're predicting the worst you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Infestation of rats in 17 years. Yeah, because they like eating them. So for all of you who are in the greater cicada area,
I don't like the sound of this.
I know. And I think Ohio is one of the prime spots for them. I have not seen nor heard them yet. I don't know if any of you have.
I have not. No, not
No,
yet.
okay. Well, keep an eye out for them. Along with, since we might as well get right into the show, Bigfoot. Okay, we had a Bigfoot sighting in Ohio. I'm going to be talking about that right down the street. You would not believe how close it was. As you know, those are the kinds of things we talk about on What in the World. Real news, sometimes strange, always funny. That's our motto. Real stories from around the world, around the universe, outer space. I've got a couple of those. Trivia, sports, obviously, with John. World records. We usually have at least one world record every week. So, this is the place to come if you're tired of listening to bad news, political news, all that other stuff. Come here for an hour, have a good time with us, get a few laughs. If you don't like one story, just wait a minute. The next one is hopefully better.
That's a great pitch, Paul, by the way.
Thank you, John.
And we also have to add, as I told Paul a couple of days ago, his show was rated one of the top shows this past week.
Oh, all right.
Yeah.
Way to go.
I don't know who rated it, but I got a message that it was the top rated. So, hey.
All right. Wow. Well, thank you to everyone who's listening, because without you, we're nothing. And notes. Without you and my notes, we're nothing. So speaking of notes, let me see what I've got here this week. So I mentioned the Bigfoot sighting. I also have a Yowie sighting, which was in Australia, which is the Australian Bigfoot. I've got a number of celebrity UFO sightings. Shaquille O'Neal, big UFO spotter. We're going to talk about the truth about wicked stepmothers. Angelina Jolie's coat of bees. I thought this was the picture alone is worth it. What else do we have here? The benefits of a third thumb. If you've never thought about what life would be like if you had a third thumb, Karen's already contemplating that. I'm going to help you your imagination there with some ideas on what you could do with a third thumb. It's an actual experiment. Someone actually paid for this. So let's get right to it, because who could resist those stories? So let's start with an animal story from Illinois. This is, I don't know the actual city, but a farmer in Illinois owned a cow, a number of cows, and one particular cow was pregnant. This particular cow gave birth to triplets, which is the odds of a cow giving birth to triplets are 1 in 105,000. Wow. And if you don't believe me, I have a photo right here of the three calves. The odds are even higher if they all survive. And you can see this happened earlier in May, and they waited to make sure they all survived. So they're all standing, they're eating, they're pooping, they're doing all the stuff that baby cows do. So the cows in themselves, there's no added value that they're triplets. However, the farmer can make a fortune by selling the pictures of the expression on the mother's face when she saw she was having three cows. There she is right there.
Oh, my.
That is one surprise cow.
Yes, that is.
How many?
Love it.
She get the horse in the next stall to beat, do the hoof thing. Three babies. Holy smoke.
I love her earrings.
Aren't those nice? Yeah, they're little ID tags. You want a pair like that? I think I can arrange for that.
No, that's okay.
So I wanted to look up, because I'm always curious about these things. I looked up the veterinary term for a cow giving birth to three calves, and the actual veterinary term for that is a triple whopper. Now, this is the best part. The couple named them, the three babies, after their favorite characters on Friends. So that's the sitcom, all right? Which is having some kind of reunion coming up soon.
Right, yep.
And I'm not going to mention the network because they're not a sponsor. Those hobos. So the names are Fee Beef Buffet, Ross Gelded, and Joey Trabifani.
Oh my gosh.
I thought we can do better than that. So I looked up, I don't remember that much about that show. I was a Seinfeld fan in those days. But how about Monica Geller,
ooh,
Cowbell Bing, and Rachel Gurney? I think Jennifer Aniston has a ban on making fun of her. Because it was so hard to do anyways. So I thought, well, I will anyways. So I used her real name, Jennifer Anguston. Yeah, that's what I would name my cow if I had three calves. Fortunately, I don't. So how about that? I thought that was a nice little bovine interest story.
Yeah.
Now we go to Pennsylvania, another big cow state. Researchers from the Verve Therapeutics and some school of medicine, the beeping going on over here, they developed a new gene editing technique that lowers the cholesterol in the blood of monkeys. Actual study that apparently this is a big problem with monkeys. They edited their genes so that they were born with a lower tendency to have high cholesterol. So they're born with lower cholesterol. So you know what this means. This means that rhesus monkeys can now eat rhesus pieces. Other than that, I have no idea what it means.
But they'll get fat.
They'll get fat, but they won't have high cholesterol.
That's true. That's true. Yeah.
I guess. So as I mentioned, we like to do stories from around the world and also around the universe. This next one comes from outer space. Virgin Galactic's CEO and founder, Sir Richard Branson, one of the richest men in the world, had said that the successful flight of the VSS Unity that went from Earth into outer space, to the edge of space, flew on the edge of space, and landed successfully at the Spaceport America. Means he's ready to start taking tourists into space in 2022. All he needs to do is figure out how much to charge for peanuts, which, how much the flight alone, I had to look it up, $250,000 for a ticket, and it only lasts minutes. It's really not very long. So I don't know, maybe $100 for a bag of bag of peanuts. The most expensive item that you can buy on that plane, and no surprise here, barf bags. But anyways, just would Karen, I'll ask you first, would you go into space? Just
no,
even for a brief trip, maybe 10 minutes or so?
No, but my husband is saving up his pennies.
Oh, good. Well,
Yeah.
he's $250,000. There you go.
Yeah.
I don't think he even has to go through any training or fit into a spacesuit or anything like that. He can wear, whatever he wears around the house. Well, maybe not. They might be taking pictures. He can wear what he wears to work. How's that?
That sounds a little
John,
bit better.
how about you? Would you go out into space?
No, I'm grounded here on Earth.
Grounded. That's the word for it.
Yeah.
Well, I wanted to show you the plane. This is the actual plane. The what's it called? The VSS Unity is the name of it. It's only seat 6. Each person gets a window, and then there's windows up front for the 2 pilots. So that doesn't look too bad to me. But the problem that I have is how you actually take off. And you don't get launched, you get carried up by another plane. Now, this is the strangest plane I've ever seen. This is the VSS Eve, named after the lady who dropped the apple. And what they do is, it's for those who can't see it, it has 2 bodies instead of one that like most planes do. And then in the middle, actually 3 bodies, I think. And then in the middle, it is hanging the little spaceship that you go up. So they fly up into, to I don't know, 20, 30,000 feet. Then they drop this thing and they fire the engine, and it shoots up to 55 miles, gives you a nice view of the curvature of the Earth, and then comes back down and lands. This doesn't appeal to me at all. I don't like getting dropped from another plane.
No.
I'm not interested in skydiving, and that's close enough to skydiving that I don't want to do it. It also reminds me of those little Russian nesting dolls. I keep looking at that thinking, then this one drops, and then another little thing drops out of that, and then another little thing. By the time they get to me, I'm there with wings, a jetpack or something. I don't want to do that. But if you are interested and you can't afford $250,000, you can buy a space capsule from Russia. The Russian space program, Roscosmos it's called, is selling an original Soyuz MS-08 descent vehicle. And I got a picture of one of those here. That's the descent vehicle that astronauts and cosmonauts come back to Earth on from the International Space Station. For those who can't see it, it's a big ball. It's a big metal ball. and they're out in the middle of a bunch of dirt. And this is how they land. They come down on a parachute and they just smash into the Earth. There's a big cloud of dust as this thing lands. And yet they keep reusing them over and over again.
Now, wait a second. This thing is up at the space station. They get in this, and then they open up the parachute and fall.
They fall, basically.
Whoa.
Yeah, they fall. And they fall. They must, I guess you have to release it at just the right moment. And then it's free fall until they hit the certain point over Siberia or Russia, wherever that is. And then they open the parachute and land in a cloud of dust and a hearty, let me out of here.
Yeah. Wow. I don't like that at all.
I was thinking, what, John?
Yeah. Are they designed to land just on the surface, just on land or sea?
Right. No, they're not allowed to, they can't land in water because it's Russian. You buy the used one. They don't give you good duct tape or gum or anything.
Oh my
You
gosh.
know, you have to repair it yourself. But I was thinking, you know, I've been to the beach. I'm sure you've seen this, where they tow people behind a boat
Mhm.
with the kite on their back, and they.
Right.
I think this would be the same kind of thing that would be fun at a beach, except instead of the boat, they put you in a giant catapult, and they launch you up into, you know, a couple hundred feet, and like those little paratroopers we used to have as kids, John.
Oh, yeah.
The little plastic paratroopers, you threw them up, and if you were lucky, the parachute, or if the little plastic guy was lucky, the plastic parachute opened up and they fell to earth, and then you got bored and did something else. So anyways, that's what you can buy from Russia. Now, we talk about crop circles every once in a while on the show, and I had a great crop circle story from the Czech Republic. Not that's your normal crop circle place. So the police in the Czech Republic are looking for an unknown group of people who created a crop circle. I'm going to put a picture of it up here. As I say that, created a crop circle in the shape of a Pac-Man. I think everybody knows who Pac-Man is,
Sure.
but we're going to talk a little bit about the game in a second. Why are the police looking for these people? Because they stomped down on $17,000 worth of rapeseed. This poor farmer's, and all but a quarter of his crop got stomped down. The only part wasn't stomped down was the mouth and the eye. $17,000 worth. So number one, I'm impressed that they figured out it's humans and not some game playing aliens. But believe it or not, if found and convicted, they face imprisonment of up to 2 years, or under special conditions, 6 years. Apparently, Pac-Man must be some kind of religious icon in the Czech Republic, because this is they're upset with these people. So, John, trivia time here. Do you remember? You want to take a guess, a wild guess at when Pac-Man actually came out?
Sure. I'm going to say 1973.
1973. I'm not going to. Okay. Karen, how about you?
I was going to say like 74.
74.
So, yeah.
That far back. It was actually 1980. I was going to
Really?
say that yeah, that was I guessed closer to 1980. Completely changed the bar scene in the United States. In fact, I have a picture of a screen here for those who don't know what we're talking about. There you go. There's the Pac-Man. It's a very simple video game compared to what kids are doing these days. So best-selling arcade game of all time. It was basically these circles with a mouth gobbling down these little gold dots and cherries and trying to avoid ghosts. That's the whole, go through a maze. That's the whole game. Yep. The most, next to heroin, the most addicting thing ever created. Invented, and this is what I love, invented in 1979 by a team of Japanese engineers working for Namco was the name of the company. It does no longer exist. The name of this game in Japan was not Pac-Man. It was Puck-Man, Puckman. And they couldn't export it because they were afraid that wherever they sent it to, people would change the P to an F, and they wouldn't be able to sell it. So they changed it to Pac-Man, which apparently can't be turned into anything dirty. Just eating quarters.
Unbelievable.
I had never heard that. I'd never heard that was it. So now what I really want to get into the Bigfoot story, since one of them's in Ohio. And the first story though is in Australia. And this has to do with the Yowie. Now, Yowie is what I would say if I saw a Bigfoot. But that's the actual name of the Australian version of Bigfoot. No one knows where the name was first used. It's not an Aboriginal name. They have a name that has far too many consonants and no vowels for me to attempt to pronounce. But one theory is that the word came from Yahoo, which was a word invented by Jonathan Swift in Gulliver's Travels. John, do you remember reading about the Yahoos in Gulliver's Travels?
No, I remember Gulliver's Travels, but
Yeah.
I don't remember that specific reference to Yahoo.
I wouldn't either, except by coincidence, I was digging through my old books and I happened to find a copy of Gulliver's Travel, and I was reading it over the weekend, and I got to the part about the Yahoos. The Yahoos were primitive creatures who were obsessed with pretty stone. That's all they did. Giant people. And they dug for these pretty stones in the mud. And so Jonathan Swift, the satirist that he was, they were supposed to symbolize the elite of the time, and materialistic elite and ignorant people. So he came up with that word, Yahoo. He invented it, first person to use that word, Yahoo. And it means now somebody who's crude or brutish or anything like that. In Australia, it means a hairy ape-like creature that stands between 7 feet and 12 feet tall. So that's quite a bit bigger than the American Bigfoot. I happen to have a picture, John. I have a couple of pictures for you.
I can't wait.
Oh, well. This one is not from the actual sighting. I'll get to that one in a second. But this is, excuse me, my personal Yowie, my favorite Yowie picture. There it is right there. So that gives
oh my
you
God, only, he's eating somebody.
Not only gives you some idea, for those who can't see it, the Yowie has 2 human legs sticking out of his mouth, which apparently means he ate the human.
Wow.
So that is well over 12 foot of Yowie right there.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. Oh, yeah.
But someone claimed they saw that, and that's what they drew. And they're sticking by their story. So this particular story is about a 9-foot Yowie, actually 2 9-foot Yowies, that an actual Yowie hunter by the name of Dean Harrison, the head of the Australian Yowie Research Organization. So you know it's legit. There's an organization. He's been trying for decades to find a Yowie. So he's hiding in this park, in Queensland, Springbrook National Park on the Gold Coast. And he and his partner, Buck Buckingham. So his partner has a thermal imaging camera. And they're out there, they can't see anything, but they hear something. And on the camera, they could see 2 Yowies come from behind a tree, estimated 9 feet tall, made no noise when they showed up, no noise when they left, but they heard them somehow. And luckily they had the thermal camera. So one of the Yowies, and I'll show you the picture, one of the Yowies appeared to hug a tree, which this guy Harrison said, all Yowies do that. That's what they do to hide. They hug trees, which if I'm 9 feet tall, I don't need to hug a tree to hide. So anyways, John, here's the thermal images of the 2 Yowies. There you go. You know, you're always complaining pictures are too blurry. That's the clearest thermal image I've ever seen.
They look like flames.
They look like flames. Good description. That's exactly what they look like. Human-shaped flame, yes, but still flames. So he says they left markers to warn other Yowies that there were humans in the area, but once it lit up, they couldn't find the markers. And he also said, and I love this, he said there were no signs of humans around, but the Yowies knew that humans were there because we were playing music. We were playing classical music. Now, it's in the middle of the night. They're out there in pitch black with thermal cameras, and they're playing classical music. This does not sound like the best plan for catching a Yowie. This sounds like maybe catching a Frankenstein, because I don't know if you remember from the Frankenstein movie, Dr. Frankenstein used to pacify the monster by playing classical music.
Yes.
And the monster would sit, and Frankenstein would have a cigar, and the monster would go, smoke good. Oh no, that might have been young Frankenstein.
That was young Frankenstein.
So anyway, he claims that we were ecstatic. This was probably the best footage so far in Australia, which is the only place Yowie lives. So this means it's the best footage in the world. Now, He says he couldn't care less if you don't believe it, John. He was thinking about you when he said this. I couldn't care less if people refuse to acknowledge their existence. I'm not here to convince them. I'm here to provide the facts. And there's your facts right there. He also, his purpose is to convince other Yowie seers to come out in the open with their own stories and maybe their own thermal images, or perhaps even their own actual photos of a Yowie, because he doesn't want them to be oppressed anymore or afraid or shamed that they've seen a Yowie. There you go. How about that? So there's
I have to maintain this. I have to say this again. Even though they have these thermal images, they've been a lot better with a photo, obviously.
You're right.
You would think
a photo
would bring a spotlight. Yeah. Bring a spotlight and a camera. And as soon as they showed up on the thermal image, you turn on the spotlight, you take a picture, and then you run like heck.
Yeah.
At least that's what I would do. That'd be my plan.
Sure. Oh my gosh.
And always running ahead of the guy behind me. That would be you, John.
Yeah, I got it, Paul. I got it.
So speaking of running away from Bigfoot, let's go to a place where we might have to run away from Bigfoot, and that is Ashland, Ohio, which is 50 miles away from where the three of us are right now. Straight down Interstate 71 on your way to Mansfield to the prison, which we've all, who doesn't want to go to the prison?
I don't.
That's a different show.
Oh.
So this woman, the witness, she doesn't give her name, and I'll explain why. She was leaving a 24-hour fitness center after her late night workout. She was there at midnight, leaving at midnight, encountered something that she wasn't yet in shape for, an 8-foot fast-moving Bigfoot. So she had her father make the report to the Bigfoot Research Organization, or BFRO, the official governing body of all Bigfoot sightings. And he said that his daughter was 20 years old, his stepdaughter, 20 years old. It was 4/24, that would be April 24th, a month ago. She saw this 8-foot creature after hearing a twig snap, too large to be a human and moved way too fast. So what did she do? She ran to the nearest Bob Evans, put a plug in for Bob Evans. Obviously, the safe haven for Bigfoot. They need to put this in their ads. Not only best good sausage, but if you see a Bigfoot, come on in here. We're always open. So he said how scared she was when they went and picked her up. So he believed her because she was so scared. He went there the next day, but he says, I'm not a hunter, and I couldn't tell if there were any footprints or anything. He saw a deer print, that's all. So this is just about 80 miles from Salt Fork State Park, which is a huge Bigfoot area in Ohio, home of the Ohio's big Bigfoot conference. And as I mentioned, it's only 50 miles from where we're at, which is right next to the Cuyahoga Valley National Park, where one of the best Bigfoot recording of a howl has ever been made. Now, they reported it to the Bigfoot people, and they received a phone call from, and I love this guy's name, Matthew Moneymaker, who is the head of BFRO. He's been around a long time, so I'm not making fun of him, but I think he's got a great name. So he says that the deer was a sign that there's Bigfoot. He said Bigfoot uses the same pathway that deer use, but not to eat the deer. They just follow those paths. And it's only 100 yards from the Mohican River, which is, a fairly well-known river, goes to Mohican State Park, where a lot of people like to go. So he says that this is prime territory for Bigfoot. So he 100% believes that this woman saw Bigfoot. However, she refuses to give her name. She had originally put her name in the report, and people started making fun of her, as they want to do when they're disbelievers in Bigfoot. And plus, she didn't have any photos. However, I have a couple of photos. I knew I had some photos here. So just for those there you go, John. We'll go back to the Yowies for a minute here. The Yowie expert showed us on the thermal images what the body parts were. Sloping forehead, large ridge eyes, deep set eyes, a pronounced jaw, thick neck. Fairly obvious to me. I don't know about
yeah, sure.
And Yowie number one is bending over to pick something up. So while the other one's looking in the opposite direction to stand guard. As I said before, if you're 11 feet tall, what do you need to stand guard for?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Unconvinced.
So I'm unconvinced. Sorry.
This is how close we are to the actual Bigfoot sighting. There's a map very near Akron, closer to Akron than it is to us. And he also was kind enough to put red circles in here so you could see where Mansfield is and Mohican State Forest. So, very populated area right in between Cleveland and Mansfield and Akron and Columbus and Loudonville and all the hot spots of Northeast Ohio. So anyway, so as he said, this was a good sighting. He rated it 5A, Class A, which is his highest rating. And he says there's only three possibilities. Either the witness is lying, which he was sure she wasn't, or it's a hoax, someone dressed as Bigfoot. And he said, normally those reports come from the person who was in on the hoax, and they always have a video, or she saw Bigfoot. So I put this. I ran an article at Mysterious Universe where a lot of these stories are posted. I'm the editor and head writer over there. You can read more over there at mysteriousuniverse.org. Get my plug in there. And I concluded by warning people that if there's a lot of instructions in there on what to look for if they decide to go to Mohican, the river or the park and go looking for the Bigfoot. And if you're out hunting and you see a guy in a brown hat with a beard, that's me. That's Bigfoot. Don't shoot. No, please don't shoot. So anyway, I do have one insect story for you, Karen, but it's an insect I know you like. It has to do with bees. Okay. And I don't know if you saw this story on the mainstream media this week, but Angelina Jolie, famous actress Angelina Jolie, daughter of John Voight, famous actor, starring in Lara Croft. She, to celebrate World Bee Week, and who knew that it was, or World Bee Day, who knew that we missed it? World Bee Day was last week. She, and it's not had nothing to do with spelling. For a photo shoot by National Geographic, she agreed to allow herself be covered with live bees.
No.
Yes. And for those of you who don't believe or want to see a picture, I have a picture of it up here. Now, she's not completely covered. We've done stories on people who had set the world record for the most bees on their body, but she's got them on her face. She's got them on her chest. She's got them on her shoulders, on her neck. And then she's discreetly covered with a cloth that's covered with bees as well. Why would she do this? To celebrate World Bee Week, the Bee Day. And she's concerned about the environment. Now, she really felt bad because while she was doing all this, she looked in the wrong direction and she accidentally stepped on one of the bees and crushed it to death. So she named it Brad Pitt because that's how she feels about him. And that's all I'm got. I thought about going into the whole. I can't keep track of all the people she's dated and been married to, and what her nicknames are, Brangelina, and anyways, that's our bee story for the week. So now let's get to something that I know you've been waiting for, John, and that is what to do if you had a third thumb. Karen already was
I'm waiting.
Yeah. So this comes from an experiment in England, from London, university in London. And again, I can't believe that universities spend money on this, but they do. Called the third thumb experiment. 36 people were fitted with a robotic third thumb to see what they could do with it. And they were hooked up to monitors in their head to see how their brain would adapt to having an extra thumb. So if you want to know what that thumb looks like, there's a picture of it right there. For those of you who can't see it, the thumb is sticking out at the opposite end of where the normal thumb is, right next to the pinky. So it's basically giving you a thumb on either side of your hand. So now, Karen, now that you've seen where the thumb is located, and what ideas do you have on what you could possibly use that for?
I can't say on this show.
And we appreciate that. You can't say on this show.
No.
What about you, John? What could you use that third thumb for?
I don't know, but I'll tell you what. Actually, that third thumb looks like a finger.
Yeah.
That's kind of what it is, John. But
no, Paul, I mean, and Karen, it's.
I know you're right. Yeah, it does look like a finger rather than a thumb.
Really like I think it would be a fifth finger as opposed to like a second thumb or
fifth finger. So if you had five fingers and a thumb, what would you use it for? And Karen, keep it clean.
If I was a crop picker, okay, I would be able to pick up more crops, I think, because I have an extra appendage there, right? So
there you go. Okay. Well, or the jewelers would love it because now you got something else to sell people. So they found that the brains of the wearers quickly adapted to the new appendage. And the people were using it. The first things they tried were flipping the pages of a book, holding a banana while peeling it at the same time with the same hand. I thought that was interesting. Opening a bottle one-handed, and some other things. And I've got a picture of some of the other things that they were doing here, and I'll describe them for you. Now, this particular person is holding 3 balls, 2 tennis balls that look like happy faces on them, and then 1 ball about the size of a softball. So the thumb is holding 1 ball, the hand is holding the softball size and the tennis ball size. So if you're, into sports and you like to combine your softball with tennis, you
that would work.
That would work. There you go. Now, this particular person I thought was very clever, and this is useful here. She is holding her teacup with the thumb while stirring it with the rest of her hand. Very clever.
That's a good application. I think
that's a good application. I feel the same way. And then you can use your free hand to put sugar or cream or wave to someone. I was expecting, and I will keep this clean, but I was expecting one of you to say, well, now I have an extra thumb to thumb my nose at people.
That is true. That is true also. Yeah.
I guess that would be me. So let's see. I want to get.
I wonder if it would help in baseball.
The pitch.
Yeah, the ball better.
Well, the umpire would love it because he could throw you out from either side. And I'm not sure about pitchers. What advantage that would. I'm sure it would give them advantage to gripping the seams, as they say in baseball. Or
yes,
I don't know, John. What do you think? Would that help on a pitch?
Yeah, I think it would. I really think it would. And I like the point you just made about the umpire being able to throw a person out either way now. With either hand. Right.
There you go. Yeah, it's depending on his right camera angle, because that's all they care about now is how well they look on TV.
Yeah.
They rehearse all those calls, the year out. I mean, what else are they going to do? Four old guys traveling together, working every couple of days. What else? They sit in the hotel room and they practice their calls. Not much of a call for umpires outside of baseball, I guess. Anyway, so let's talk a little bit about some celebrities. I'm going to take this down because I don't have any pictures of Shaq. I think everybody knows what Shaq looked like. So, UFOs are in the news this week, past couple of weeks, because of all the videos that have come out. It was on 60 Minutes. So now all these people are coming out of the woodwork, and they're coming out of the woodwork on the Jimmy Kimmel Show of all shows. So Shaquille O'Neal was the first one. So he says he goes on Jimmy Kimmel, and he shares his UFO story. So Jimmy asked me if he's ever seen any UFOs, and he says, I could have sworn I saw this flying. This is in 1997. could have sworn I saw this flying saucer come down with all the lights, and it was spinning. And then he makes spinning noises. He goes boom, boom, boom. And he says, and then it took off, and everything happened in less than 5 seconds. Now, Jimmy says, really, where was this? And this is the best part. The UFO is clever. It's interesting. But he says, it's 1997. He and another basketball player were on a double date, and they're coming from Hollywood Video. Now, this guy, he's already playing professional basketball. He's making millions of dollars. His idea of a double date is to go to the video store and rent some. At that time, it was VHS tapes, and go with the ladies, and sit on the couch and watch Young Frankenstein. I don't know what he's talking, but or what was it? What was that basketball cartoon movie? Space Jam. That's probably what they rented. Space Jam. So in Madera, California, so they're driving past some fairground, and it occurred above the parking lot. So he says that, Jimmy Kimmel says, asked him if he was afraid, and who's going to be afraid of Shaquille O'Neal? He's like a Yowie. He's 8 feet tall, and he weighs 500 pounds. Nobody's afraid of Shaquille O'Neal. But he says he didn't. 1997, he didn't tell until 2021 because he was afraid people would make fun of him. Who would? I ask again. Who would make fun of Shaq? And he said Charles Barkley. And he says, I think Charles Barkley is an alien.
There's no love lost between those two guys. That's for sure.
None at all. None whatsoever. They put on a great show otherwise. So now I don't know if you remember this, but we did a story about Steph Curry, and Steph Curry said that he did not believe that astronauts landed on the moon. And then we did a story about Kyrie Irving, who said he thought the Earth was flat. So there must be something with basketball players, I guess, in that rarefied air from being over 6 feet tall. I don't know. So then, if that wasn't enough, former President Barack Obama comes on to Jimmy Kimmel, and Jimmy Kimmel asked him the same question. Now, he has asked that question, asked UFOs of George W. Bush, Hillary Clinton, I think President Trump he asked. So he asked everybody. So he asked President Obama if he went looking for UFOs when he was in the White House. And believe it or not, Obama says this. He said, the truth is, when I came into office, I asked, I was like, all right, is there a lab somewhere where we're keeping the alien specimens and the spaceship? And they did a little bit of research, and the answer was no.
Area 51 isn't an experiment.
Well, he said they told him no. However, he did say, they asked him about the latest videos and stuff, and he said, what is true, and I'm actually being serious here, is that there's footage and records of objects in the sky that we don't know exactly what they are. We can't explain how they moved, their trajectory. They did not have an easy explainable pattern. And so, I think that people still take seriously trying to investigate and figure out what that is. So, President Obama, there's stuff that we can't explain. And he admits it on the Jimmy Kimmel Show, which, if you can't, that is our show of record. It beats 60 Minutes any day.
Oh, yes.
I have one more. Patton Oswalt, who's I always loved, very funny little comedian, great comedy actor. He was on The King of Queens. He was one of the friends on The King of Queens. His father was a test pilot for the, I don't know if he was a Marine. Yeah, Marine test pilot. And his father told him that they used to see UFOs all the time, but they were afraid to tell anybody about them because they'd get made fun of. This is the common theme among these stories. Even Marines are afraid to talk about UFOs because they don't want to be made fun of. And he said he and a number of pilots on one particular day saw all these UFOs, and they went to the commander, and he said, hey, the squad all saw this. And the commanders was with some other officers, and the commander says this according to Patton Oswalt. He says, were they metal cages with like energy balls in them? And his father goes, yeah, that's what they were. And the commander says, you want to report them? And his father says, no, I don't. And the commander says, good. And he walks away. So
leaves you hanging, obviously.
That's right. That's right. He said they didn't want to go into the crank file, which is apparently the military term for, people thinking that you're crazy. So how about that? Oh, Bill Clinton. Jimmy Kimmel also asked Bill Clinton about UFOs. So if he ever comes on our show, we'll ask him about UFOs.
Absolutely.
That's right. But that's not what we're here for now. We've reached the part of our show where we asked John DiNallo about some strange sports. An interesting story leading up to this particular sport this week. It was suggested by none other than our producer and co-host, Karen Hale. Karen,
Hey.
This show is rubbing off on you.
Yeah,
Karen is starting to find some weird sports as well. So John had some interesting comments about this particular sport. He had, I'll let him say them. I'll just bring up the pictures and go ahead, John. Tell us. Be careful how you pronounce it, but tell us what your what our sport for the week is.
Well, you're right, Paul. I have to be careful how I pronounce these words. And Karen, thank you. This is a very, very interesting sport. So anyway, it's the sport of Hornison. It's a Swiss sport.
Hornison. Okay, we got it.
Lance, the sport of Hornison appears to be a mixture of golf and baseball, and yet it is much more. It is a typically Swiss sport with a tradition that reaches back to the 16th century.
Swiss sport. So other than skiing and making chocolate, this is sport number 3.
And watchmaking, things like
that.
Oh,
yeah, that's right. Okay. There's nothing like full contact watchmaking. I love that.
Very good, Paul. Very good.
Well, anyways.
Okay. So as legend has it, in order to expel evil spirits,
I like this.
It used to be the custom to hit burning logs down the mountain and into the valley below. The sport of Hornison is supposed to have originated from this ancient tradition and has now evolved into a team game played by people of all ages without there being a basic social structure in place. So it's
how big does the club have to be to knock a burning log down a hill? That I can't imagine that.
Well, and you could say that's somewhat of a stretch, Paul, because now what they use is
now it's even better.
But now it's a copper fiber stick. Let me explain. Okay.
Of course.
Yeah, it's how the game is played. So 2 teams compete in a contest made up of 2 bouts. Each team consists of 18 players, and the batting team has to hit the nose, which is a plastic disc similar to an ice hockey puck, with a copper fiber stick as far as possible into the opposing team's area.
So I just put a picture up here. This is these guys are playing defense. I think they have
defense, right? Exactly.
They're waiting for the ball, or wait, you're going to use the proper term. I know.
They look like big shovels.
They do look like big shovels. Yeah.
It's actually technically called the catch board.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, let me explain. So the defending team has to stop the approaching nos as soon as possible by using either a large single or, as you see in this case, a catch board, which looks like a wooden pizza paddle.
That's even better. Yeah, wooden pizza paddle. Yeah.
Usually 2 turns are played, and each team hits once and defends once. Each turn, every single player hits twice with 3 attempts. Now, a game has no set length, and it takes 3 to 4 hours to play those 2 bouts. The team with the smallest number of penalization points wins the game. In other words, that is the smallest number of failed interceptions.
Just to give you an idea, Karen, I'm sorry this picture's blurry, but this is a huge field that these people are in, far bigger, or at least longer than a baseball or a football field.
Oh, it is. Yes, it is.
And you can't even see, they're so far away, you can't even see the people hitting the ball.
Right.
Wow.
Exactly.
Okay, go ahead, John. I'm sorry.
That's okay. Well, here's a person,
so 4 hours. So a typical bout takes 4 hours. A lot of beer. I'm sure a lot of beer is being drunk.
So anyway, and I don't know if you can tell this or not. There's a little bit of a platform that he's swinging that fiber stick, to hit the nos and to be able to put it into the opponent's area. In addition to various team rankings, the Swiss championships and festive occasions also provide for a ranking of individual strikers. So there's
Now,
actually
this the stick. The stick looks like it's bending. It's not like a golf club.
No. It's very flexible. It's very pliable. It's really it's really made of copper fiber. Is the way they describe it. Okay, so the harness or nos which is hit was originally a disc made of wood or a horn, which was hit into the playing field.
That's the ball. That's the ball thing. Okay.
There are several interpretations of the meaning of the word harness, and all refer, though, to the, quote, hornet-like, unquote, buzzing sound made by the nos, because the speed really gets up there. As a matter of fact, measurements taken by the Biomechanical Institute of the EHT Zurich have shown the harness to reach speeds up to 270 feet per second. That's an equivalent of 190 miles an hour.
Wow.
190. Now that's the noose flying through the air.
That's exactly
190 miles an hour and buzzing while it's doing it. Thank God it's buzzing, because otherwise,
and it's known
birds get out of the way.
Yes, really. And it's known to get to a cruising altitude of 165 to 230 feet and a flight range up to 1,085 feet.
Now that's amazing to me. That 1,000. So that's how many football? That's over 3 football fields.
Yes.
That's that's out of Progressive Field, all the way into the Cuyahoga River. I think if that were a baseball.
Yeah.
Wow.
Hit by the Indians, which they could never do that.
Don't talk about my team that way.
I'm sorry. That's right. Oh, if they had this noose thing, this club, maybe they could.
Now, so harness is actually also a betting game. And again,
of course,
when the game of harnessing originally started, the losing team had to pay for afternoon refreshments after the match.
Oh, what a shock.
Now, today, instead, bets are taken on the outcome of the matches and are usually between 50 to 100 francs per game, or the equivalent of $55 to $100.
I have a picture up here. That match looks fairly well attended. There's a lot of people there.
Oh, yes.
Not social distancing, so this must be an old photo.
Yes, it must be an old photo.
Yeah,
Bets
no mask.
Bets are also customary when the game is played on a friendly basis, which is why it is called a betting game. It is also common for individual players of similar skill levels to wager a beer or two on the number of points gained. So again, the refreshment element of that is not to be overlooked.
Big part of the game. Yeah. Okay.
So,
and you notice they don't wear helmets. And if that thing is going that fast,
I know. Yeah.
I mean, that's sort of scary.
It is. But that's what they do. Yeah. That's how they compete.
Hey, they're Swiss, Karen.
Oh, got it. Yeah. They have good medical insurance.
There you go. There you go. Yeah, good point.
So
when did this start, John?
I'm glad you asked that question, Paul. So, so when Hornison was first played, it was mainly a game for young single farmers. In fact, it is also known as the farmers' golf.
Farmers' golf. Okay.
And so they met in the late summer or autumn to play on harvested fields against farmers from other villages. It is reported that such events enable the players to pit their strength against each other and to regulate disputes between villages. Despite playful attempts at arbitration, the Hornison games are often followed by wild brawls between the contestants. So it was, very, very, hotly contested.
Apparently so. Yeah, like soccer in those days. Yeah, that's like soccer today. Hooligans.
Yes.
Swiss hooligans.
Mm-hmm. So anyway, the first written records of the Hornison are found in church records from the 16th and 17th century. And the first known competitive Hornison game took place in 1655 in the city of Trub.
Oh, now this is for you, Karen.
Wow.
Coming up next.
Okay.
Oh, no, it's just from John.
Okay.
Go ahead. Oh, go ahead.
No. So in the late 19th century, a Hornison Association was formed, and rules according to the association were then established.
There you go. It's official. They have an association.
Wow.
And it's called
The national governing body, and I'm going to try to pronounce this correctly, so bear with me, folks. It's the Edigenoscher Hornisverband. It was
very
founded
good. Good enough. Close enough for government work. And what in the world?
in 1902.
Well,
Okay. Now, this national association and its regional sub-organizations organize the championships for the various leagues, and the 3 yearly Hornison Festival and the Hornison matches at the National Wrestling and Alpine Festivals, as well as other festivals throughout Switzerland. So again, it's a very common sport.
Big time in Switzerland. Yeah.
Sure. And today it is mainly played in the Central Plateau region of Switzerland. To give you an idea of the scope, in 2011, there were 270 Hornison groups with some 8,500 players organized into 4 special purpose associations and societies that are affiliated with the national governing body, which I will not attempt to pronounce it. Also, the sport is spreading, and it is played in various local clubs here in the United States.
Now that I'm not sure where the big Swiss locations are. I'm going to say maybe Minnesota with the Norwegians, and it'd be interesting to find the American groups that play this game.
Maybe we can come up with that in another show, Paul. Yeah.
No, but better yet, we need to come up with a team. This is like pickleball squared. I mean, it's 190 miles an hour. I don't think pickleballs travel that fast.
No, that's a very good description, Paul. Karen, again, thank you. What an interesting sport it is.
Oh, great sport, Karen. Thank you. And thank you, John, for all that research and making it through those Swiss words.
Right, exactly.
Here's the paddle for you with the helmet, Karen, so you can.
Okay, there is a helmet. Okay.
I think I have the winning team right here.
Wow.
There's a lady in the middle.
Lady in the front.
Yeah.
Yeah. So here you have like about 25 single farmers and one lady. I know what she's one brave woman.
Oh, Lord.
So anyways, thanks again, John, for that great story on What in the World of Sports.
No, you're welcome. And thank you again, Karen.
Everybody knows that once we complete What in the World of Sports, that means it's time for Bluff the co-host, everybody's favorite weird news game. As those of you who have been here before know, and if not, I'll explain it for everybody else. I have 3 stories, very similar to the ones we've been telling all afternoon. Some may be true, but some may be a bluff. 1, 2, or 3. And it's up to Karen and John to determine if they're real or a bluff. And we, just like the Hornets goofing, whatever that sport was, we allow betting.
Hornison. Paul, it's pronounced Hornison.
Hornison. I'm sorry, John. I apologize. Hornison. We do allow betting, so place your bets. Karen and John, hands on the buzzer. Get ready for story number 1. Now that the national parks are allowed to fully open for the summer, officials at the Grand Canyon National Park have found it necessary to warn visitors to please don't feed the Bigfoots. There have actually been a few Bigfoot sightings in the park recently, and rangers are having to rescue people who attempt to climb down to where they heard the Bigfoots hang out, hoping to feed them some donuts. It seems the Bigfoot rumors are getting mixed up with the bear rumors. Bears really do like donuts, but visitors shouldn't feed them either. Unfortunately, Bigfoot feeders are braver or dumber than bear feeders and are getting stuck in worse spots. A warning, there's a $500 fine if you have to be rescued by the park rangers, and another $500 fine if they find you holding donuts. So, Karen, Grand Canyon National Park says, please don't feed the Bigfoots. Real or bluff?
You know, people are so stupid sometimes that I have to believe this is a true story.
Okay, people are stupid. Karen said it, not me.
Sometimes it's
sometimes. Okay, so Karen says that's a real story. John, how about you?
You know, I agree with Karen. I think it's a real story. I think people's interest in finding out about Bigfoot goes everywhere, and national parks are just another area. So I'm going to say it's true.
I think between the three of us, I don't think there'd be any donuts left to feed Bigfoot. But if we're counting, let's see, that's
a good call.
There you go. So Karen and John both say that story was true. Let's check with the commissioner. That was a bluff.
Oh,
no,
they don't care about Grand Canyon. They don't care about. Just don't fall off. That's all they're worried about.
Wow.
How about that? Okay. All right.
Okay.
So let's see. That's 0-0 if I'm counting correctly. So you guys better get ready for story number 2. Religious bookstores in California are reporting a sudden increase in the sales of St. Christopher medals. Those Catholic good luck charms that used to be in every Catholic's car until the church said there was no proof St. Christopher ever existed or carried the Christ child across a river, thus becoming the patron saint of travelers. Why California? It turns out that's where the most autonomous vehicles are on the roads, and everyone, not just Catholics, are afraid of getting hit by one. The stores never really stopped selling the medals and statues. They just kept them behind the counter. With this sudden surge in interest, California Catholics are asking their bishops to petition Pope Francis to bring back St. Christopher before it's too late. So, John, my fellow Catholic, you remember St. Christopher medals? I bet you still have one somewhere.
Yes, I remember, and I do, as a matter of fact.
Okay, so big increase in sales in California because of autonomous vehicles. Real or bluff?
I'm going to say real. I'm going to say it's a real.
John says it's real. John's hoping it's real because he's a big fan of St. Christopher and driving.
Yes.
Okay, so John says it's real. Karen, how about you?
Well, I don't know the first thing about St. Christopher other than there's a medal. But so I have to go with my Catholic buddy who says real.
Real. Okay, so your Catholic buddy would be John, who also says it's real. St. Christopher medals are flying off the shelves, so to speak, in California because of autonomous vehicles. Let's check with the official report here, and that was also a bluff.
Oh, no.
They don't care.
Oh, Karen, we're off to a bad start here. Oh my gosh.
They don't care. You know, as long as it brings the pizza and the pizza's hot, they can have all the autonomous vehicles they want. Just run over the Noid.
As we've
seen those commercials, that's right. Okay, so this is not good. This is not good. I haven't seen this in quite a while.
No.
Either John and Karen are tied 0-0. Points are doubled in round number 3, but that doesn't matter, does it? You know, this is whoever gets it right. So let's see what we have here for story number 3. If you're looking for something to argue about besides politics, religion, or vaccinations, the biggest fight today on the internet is over the iconic Disney character Goofy and whether he's a dog or a cow. It turns out this is an old conspiracy theory that has been resurrected by people who think Goofy is actually a cow because his original love interest was Clarabelle Cow. According to their argument, if Mickey and Minnie are together and they're both mice, and Donald and Daisy are together and they're both ducks, then Goofy and Clarabelle means Goofy is a cow. If you don't buy that, the cow side also says Goofy can't be a dog because he can talk, while Pluto is a dog and he can't talk. Dog people point out to a single early cartoon that gives his name as Goofus the Dog. A Disney spokesperson said they don't care one way or the other, as long as you stop at the gift shop and buy Goofy hats, t-shirts, ears, and mugs. So, the big argument on the internet these days over whether Goofy is a dog or a cow. Real or bluff, Karen? What do you say?
Well, I haven't seen any stories on the internet about Goofy at all. And I'm feeling very goofy right now to say that I think this is a fake.
Karen says it's a bluff. Karen says and Karen's on the internet a lot. So, Okay, John, how about you? Goofy fan that you are.
Yes, you know, I'm a fan, but
John has a Goofy right next to his St. Christopher medal on the front of his. Just
yeah,
kidding.
I'm gonna say it's a bluff also.
John
because
says it's a bluff. John says
I've
that.
never heard this thing about Goofy being a cow. Always assumed that he was a dog.
Yeah.
Yeah, I always thought he was a dog. I never heard anything
What
about
most
him
people
being-
think. Well, let's check with the commissioner of Bluff, the co-host, who says, guess what? That's a real story. They
Oh,
really are arguing about Goofy. I could not believe it myself. They're arguing about Goofy. Now, he does have those long floppy ears,
Sure.
but we were looking at a picture of a cow just at the beginning of the
He
show.
didn't have floppy ears.
Yeah, it didn't have big. There must be a weird breed of cow, but
Who are the people?
it's a huge thing in a small circle of people, I guess.
Oh,
Who
like,
care
who are
whether
these people?
what the pardon?
My question is, who are these people that are
Dude, you don't want to know, John.
that are arguing about the fact, whether it's a dog or a cow? I mean, really?
John, I have bad news. They're fans of our show.
Oh, he's a man.
Oh, we're sorry. We didn't mean
We're
to
sorry.
insult.
That's right. No, that was our last joke of the hour, and we have reached the end of another hour of What in the World. What a fun show! That was really a lot of fun.
Yes, it was.
And I don't believe this has ever happened, that neither John nor Karen got any of the
I know
stories.
that
I can't
is.
recall the last time that we had a score like that.
I don't think so. So this is I'm going to circle this day on my calendar because this
Yeah,
is
you're
this is a
pretty
big
darn
day for
good.
me. I can talk to myself about this all week.
Okay, you do
I'll
that.
spend the next
Okay.
7 days, Paul, getting ready for next week's show.
I know, John. This is incentive for you. I know that. So, anyways, thanks to everyone who is listening to the show in the future on a podcast, however you download it on YouTube. Please go to newclevelandradio.net. Listen to all of the great podcasts Karen has produced for you on there. Once you're done with What in the World, I want to thank everyone for joining us, the regulars, the new people. Thank you for putting us, number one on Karen's list of top podcasts. Please keep coming back. Tell your friends. Tell your enemies. We don't care. Just as long as they click like, that's all we care about. So, and John, as always, thank you for providing the color commentary and trivia answers and a good job of describing the sport that I'm not even going to attempt to pronounce. So, good to see you. I will see you again. We'll see you again next week. Karen, as always, thank you for everything that you do for the show and for newclevelandradio.net. And we'll see you next week.
We'll be back next week.